fight with this battle of how much money do I want to be making and how much money, what I'm saying, do I have to pay out other people. And so you want a great labor force, but you obviously want to make as much money as possible. And with my industry and my painting, it's like I have to capitalize on the 4 or 5 months of sun that I have so that I don't have to work the rest of the year.
Well, there's a balance to that. So, when you're hiring people, and for them too, because I'm not necessarily going to want to hold on or count on a job where I'm only working a few months out of the year, and then maybe there's a couple weeks off here and there, whereas like I would much rather work a job where maybe I'm making less per hour, but I work all year long. I have medical insurance, dental, all that stuff, and so I would think that you're kind of also picking off of Craigslist. I mean, you're picking off the lower part of the
Home
barrel.
Depot,
right?
like that whole thing, like picking up, Mexicans from Home Depot
You
and
do
things
that?
like that. I have, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why not? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because one, you can pay people $600 or less and not claim any of that, which I do for everybody. They're very willing. They usually have a lot of experience and they know what it is. It's a day. I'm going to pay you $100. And they're happy with that. They're expected with that. But it's like you said. If people, when I went to school, a lot of the stuff that I learned is that what keeps people happy, money is one of the least things. It's being empowered. Do they feel like they're making a contribution? Do they have the schedule that they want? Do they have a good balance between work and life? Do they get steady work? Are they going to be working all year round? All those things are way more valuable to people than the amount of money that they're going to be getting.
Well, yeah, because even if you told me, hey, I got work for you for 3 months, but after that, I don't know what you're going to do, like I said, like you could be making more money during that 3 months than having a full year-round job that's guaranteed. I mean, that would be an easy choice for me. Like I would choose the year-round job.
Yeah. Well, for me now, I'm choosing the opposite.
Right.
I'm trying to make, I was going to get paid $42,000 salary for that position, right? So I said, okay, I don't have that opportunity right now. I'm forced, in a way to do this on my own. So now my goal is to make $42,000 within this 4 months so that I have the same amount of money to live off of that I was going to have all year. But I already made that 42,000. So
This year.
I'm on the come up. So,
Right.
So this opportunity to work, 4 or 5 months out of the year is way better than working year round. And so, I want to help other people achieve that success the best I can.
Well, and what you're saying is scary. Like that's what keeps a lot of us from stepping outside of our normal, every Monday through Friday job is that you're taking that risk. You got to make sure that you make that $42,000 in the 3 or 4 months and some so that you can survive the whole year.
Yeah,
and
planning.
And then picking up jobs in between just so you can make it. But I mean, there's a lot of insecurity in that. You don't
so
know.
how do you base a family off that? Like, how
Right.
can you do all that thing? So that's why I've never been all in. That's why I've only done it while I was in school, like just a summertime job. But now I'm in a position where I'm kind of forced to do it. So now I'm trying to, okay, what did I like about that job that I really was excited about? Now, how can I make that into what I have now? I can create whatever it is I want in my life, my work schedule, the hours that I work, how much money I make, all that, I can create that. So, that's what it's about.
Well, and you're working towards the future. I mean, eventually you want to be just the mitigator, the manager, and have people that are doing what you're doing right now, pretty much going out and doing the jobs, and you're just managing, so you don't have to do the labor anymore. Or you can do whatever you're good at or whatever you appreciate, and you could pay for somebody to do the accounting, the taxes, the payroll, and all that stuff. Take care of the insurance.
Absolutely. So whatever job, the labor people, whoever, I assume most laborers are listening to this job, learn your job so well that you could do it on your own. That's, even if you sign non-compete, all those things. We live in the state of Washington where if that's your skill, those non-competes don't hold. I've been blessed and fortunate to work for my customers who are lawyers and, all that stuff. And so I've been given a lot of advice and things like that as far as what's okay and what's not. Like, what are you given? for that non-compete to be, in effect versus, they trained me for 1 day. I worked for 2 months. That doesn't mean I can't own a painting company for 5 years.
So what's the non-compete? Like, explain that, because I kind of think I know what you're getting at. But
so typically when you start a job, this is somebody's hard work that they've put in for many years, and they don't want you, once they train you how to do it, to go do it on your own.
Right.
So typically they'll have you sign a contract, an agreement that you will not compete. You will not own your own business competing against them doing the same thing.
For a certain amount of time.
For a certain amount of time.
Right.
I signed one of those for 5 years with that company, but I had only worked, for 2 months. So now I can't own a painting company for 5 years.
Right.
That's what that guy said. And so, he found out that I was working. He found out because I was trying to keep it under wraps. But, the person who I was working with was very proud of our work that we were doing, and he was putting it on social media and so forth, and they were friends. And so, of course, he saw it. So he called me up and asked me to cease and desist, or,
right.
basically, stop working. And so I was scared and told him that, I signed contracts with people. I'm not going to not do it because they've already paid me some money, but I'm not going to go and seek out more work. And I stopped working. That was that summer. The next year, came around, I got some referrals and things like that. And one of them happened to be a lawyer. He said, hey, I found out that you painted for somebody. I want to work for you. And I told him, hey, I can't work. I'm not licensed and bonded. I can't do this because I signed a non-compete. And he said, well, tell me a little bit about it. And so I basically told him my situation that, they trained me for 1 day. I learned how to paint, and then I worked for 2 months. And he said basically the amount of energy and knowledge that he put into me wasn't equal, to me not owning a business for, that amount of time. And that he would represent me, if he were to pursue me. But he basically, the person who I'd worked for, he was just blowing smoke and just saying, I'm going to sue you type thing, when he actually even moved to Canada and stopped even working, so it wasn't even an issue. But as far as in Washington, a non-compete disclosure is very hard to, stick and maintain. There has to be a lot that person does for you to make it worth, you signing that and equaling that. Every single time you work for a company, they have you sign all these documents. That doesn't, necessarily mean you're bind to that.
Right. So pretty much, and it's not like rocket science. This guy's not teaching you how to reinvent the wheel, right? This is all stuff you probably could have learned from YouTube videos online.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So I explained that to him, and he just said, okay, you're right.
That was just a scare tactic.
Have you had any like bad experiences with employees or customers that stick out to you? Any craziness?
Or funny?
I mean, I've had all the above. It's hard that as far as employees, it's hard. Like I worked with somebody, the first person who I worked with, like I mentioned, we went out and split it 50-50, and he's an amazing painter. He's probably a better painter than I am. He's very good. He's just not very good at working with customers. So he gets fired from a lot of jobs. He gets paid. He doesn't show up to a lot of jobs. It's like the typical contractor thing. And so he doesn't have a lot of work. And so we like each other. We're usually, when you don't like somebody, it's because you don't like something about them that reminds you of yourself. And so we're very much alike, and I don't like him. But, we work with each other, but I've had definitely bad experiences working with him. Every year it ended badly. It's hard when you're equal and you do things and you split everything 50-50, it's okay. But when you grow and get bigger, and instead of just having one job a week, you have 3 jobs a week, and you have to split up and who's doing what job and so forth, and who's getting what money, and who's licensed, who's bonded. I've always been licensed, bonded, and insured, always, because it costs $25, right?
Right.
People don't know that. So, he never became licensed, bonded, and insured. I was always licensed, bonded, and insured. And so there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that, I might not take fully into effect, but I haven't had any jobs go bad on me type thing. So, he and I would work with each other. There'd be, arguments about who gets paid what and so forth. And he would, at the end of the year, he'd take a lot of my equipment and things like that. So I've had problems with stealing my equipment, or just, he doesn't view it as stealing. He believes it's his. He believes like it's my customer, right? And I'll give him the job to work on it. But because he worked on it, it's his job.
Right. And everything that you bought is half his.
Exactly.
Even
right.
though maybe you put more effort into it.
Or maybe I showed up to the job with all this stuff, and now that he worked on the job, now it's all half his.
Right.
So it's been difficult, working with him as far as like other, people. It's hard to work with your friends with them, with as far as an employee. Like, they view it as, they hear how you talk about the job, how it's all fun and like you enjoy it and you're the boss and you can, show up when you want and leave when you want and things like that. So they feel that they can do the same. And so it's hard to, be the boss of your friend. How do you tell somebody that you love and whatnot, do that right now, type thing, where's the balance of that, and setting a good role model for them. It's always been very hard for me because, the type of person that I like to work for, basically it's called the sandwich effect. You tell somebody something nice, then criticism, then you end with something nice. So I've always tried to do that. Everyone says that I'm, nice to work with and things like that, but I have a hard time, the amount of money that I pay to laborers and the amount of production that I'm getting. And so it's hard to find that balance as far as hourly work versus piecework. And so it's a lot easier to pay people based on the job rather than how many hours, because a lot of the time in painting and most in this industry, things take a lot longer than you think. And it doesn't go as smoothly as you planned. And so to help me out with that, going to piecework, paying someone, hey, you paint this house, I'll pay you $1,000 is a lot better than, paying you $20 or $25 an hour to paint this house. And then you end up paying $1,500, or, it takes a lot shorter, and then you're paying less, but then that person's mad that they didn't do piecework and get the $1,000. So, it's finding that balance with everybody. But as far as like jobs going bad, I found out it's not good to work for lawyers. You don't want to work, for people like that. You want to get to know your customers. You want to get to know the person and understand, what they expect. It's all about expectations, setting expectations and meeting expectations. And so being on the same page is so important. And so what I would do a lot of the times when I first started off, what I learned from that other company is do daily progress reports. So every day you'd write down, the time you showed up, what you accomplished, and then you'd write down the next day what time you were going to go, what you accomplished. That way everybody's on the same page, and then they can communicate with you if they want any changes. I've had customers say I did the wrong color. I've had customers say that, I broke something that I didn't. I've had customers just not like my job, all the above. And so you really have to, try your best to always stay calm, always be level-headed, always think about your future, always think about, for me, I've always been willing to do free work. To make somebody happy, go beyond and above, exceed all expectations. That's always been my motto, with everything in my life. Exceed their expectations, go beyond and above, do everything you can, work for free a little bit, but, working with other people, and once you've been in the industry, you don't do anything for free, but I don't believe in that. I think that, when you're working for a 70-year-old woman who can't get up on the ladder, and you're up on the ladder anyway, why not just clean out her gutter? It's going to
change out her light, or
it's not going to be the end of the world. Is there a stopping point? Can they keep on, doing that? I've had to say no. Luckily, I've been able to say no sometimes, but most of the time I'm just like, yes, man, sure. I'm going to be in their life maybe 1 week. What's that out of the rest of the year? I don't ever have to come back again. Once I get paid, it's all good.
Well, most people, won't take advantage of that. You got to think that. And most people, won't take advantage of you for offering free stuff or free work. But
no, everyone does, I would think.
Everyone takes advantage of you?
Not
you mean?
Not everyone, but I would say definitely more than not.
Really?
Yeah, definitely more than not, because I basically invite that in. So if you set that, you set yourself clear in the beginning, then you don't have to worry about that. As long as you have clear expectations, if you have everything written down, that's the biggest thing that I learned from seeking out advice. Have a contract in place. Have everything